I couldn't hear nobody pray. Crossing Jordan, couldn't hear nobody pray. Oh Lord, I couldn't hear nobody pray. Oh, I couldn't hear nobody pray. I was way down yonder by myself. I couldn't hear
In 1855, a Tennessee slave named Sarah Hannah Shepard discovered that her daughter, Ella, had been trained to spy on her by their white mistress. Tormented, despairing, Sarah set off to drown her little girl, then herself. But Providence intervened in the form of an old slave woman.
Mother caught me in her arms, and while rushing to the river to end it all, was overtaken by Aunt Viney, who cried out, "Don't do it, honey. Don't you see the clouds of the Lord as they pass by? The Lord has got need of this child." My mother took courage and walked back to slavery to await God's own time. Eliz Shepherd.
Ella would fulfill the prophecy in a way Sarah never imagined, through Sarah's own songs of sorrow and redemption. One day, Ella would perform them in palaces, cathedrals, and concert halls, with a choir of emancipated slaves, and build a great university out of the sacred songs of Jubilee. Eliz Shepherd's father purchased her out of bondage and fled with her to Ohio, where she learned to read and write and play the piano. At the end of the Civil War, she returned to Tennessee. Determined to become a teacher, she enrolled at a struggling school for freed blacks in Nashville, named Fisk University. Fisk was a university in name only. A freedmen's school, established in an abandoned Army hospital barracks. Fisk was dedicated to training men and women like Ella to educate African Americans across the South. The school was run by the American Missionary Association, called the AMA. Fisk's treasurer was a zealous missionary from New York named George Leonard White, a Union veteran of Gettysburg and Chancellorsville. White's job was to keep Fisk afloat, but he had been a choir master and a band sergeant, and his true passion was music. Entranced by the beautiful voices of the young former slaves who studied at the school, he began to assemble the most gifted into a chorus.
We were especially fond of music and gladly gave half of our noon hour and all our spare time to study under Mr. White. We made rapid progress. Eliz Shepherd.
In Eliz Shepherd, George White recognized someone whose passion for music matched his own. White appointed Shepherd assistant choir director, making her, at age 18, the school's first black instructor. Together, White and Shepherd rehearsed the student chorus in popular songs of the day and musical pageants like the cantata of Esther. But White was most entranced by the mysterious moving songs that Eliz Shepherd and the students sang for themselves. They were called cabin songs, plantation melodies, spirituals, and jubilees, folk hymns composed by slaves for worship and solace.
Chariot, coming for to carry me home.
You start singing a song, and when you're singing it first, according to the slaves, you're just singing the words. But after a while, it's almost like therapy. It begins to take the frown out of the face. The shoulders begin to come back to their natural position. What's happening is you're going through a cleansing process. These people were not readers. They were not writers. They had to sing songs with a few words that they could learn once, carry on forever, that everybody could sing at the same time. So you're going to find spirituals that'll say, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Just a few words which are going to be sung over and over.
But education, not music, was the purpose of schools like Fisk University. Under slavery, reading and writing had been forbidden, punishable by whipping, imprisonment, or worse. With emancipation, waves of freedmen descended on any school they could find, desperate to learn how to count their new wages, write the new names they had chosen for themselves, read the ballot, and the Bible. When Fisk opened its doors in January of 1866, hundreds of former slaves crowded into day school and night classes at the school's barracks. But the school was continually on the verge of financial collapse. By 1868, it couldn't pay its creditors, or even its teachers. One instructor apologized for asking for her back pay, but it was cold, she said, and she had no shoes. Tuition was $12 a year at a time when farm laborers earned as little as $8 a month. As treasurer, George White put up his own savings to keep the school afloat. To collect unpaid tuitions, he wrote letter after letter to already hard-pressed parents.
We spare no pains or expense in the education of the people. I write thus plainly and earnestly, yet kindly, because a great and good enterprise is in danger of being crippled by this lack of prompt fulfillment of your obligations. George White.
Dear Mr. White, here is $6. That is all I have at present. The times are so hard that I had to use it at home. Give my love to Ellen and tell her to be a good girl. Rachel Ferguson.
When students uncovered rusty chains from an abandoned slave pen, White sold the chains for scrap iron to buy Bibles and spellers. To raise more money, White led his choir to neighboring towns to sing for donations, despite the dangers.